guys, welcome back to How to Do Linux. I am Ventilorian and I will be your host today. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Zorin OS, specifically Zorin OS 10, which is what I'm running right here. It's very similar to the past 3 releases of Zorin OS. 9 and 8 and 7 were all pretty much identical. Let's take a look at what they say on the website. The whole point of Zorin OS is, first of all, they say that it's a more powerful desktop, which is true, because it is Linux based, and most of these claims that they make are solely for that reason. No risk of getting viruses. I wouldn't say that there's no risk, but it's significantly reduced from using even a Mac or a PC. It's very fast, which I've actually been quite surprised about how fast it is, because this is, as you can see, a very effects-heavy desktop, and it's really not super heavy on resources. It says here it's light on resources. Let's pop this open. Looks like we're using 590 megabytes of RAM, which is actually very impressive. I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. Oh no. Looks like I'm using 5 gigs of space. It's quite a bit lighter on resources than Windows and Mac OS 10 especially. It leaves a much smaller footprint, even though it is super effects heavy. It is easy to use. It's very familiar to see, especially for coming to Windows. I mean, you can plainly see the resemblance here, even between the Zorin menu and the Windows 7 menu, which is good. I mean, this is a possible alternative for people who are coming over from Windows 8 or even Windows 10. There are certain people that are unhappy about it's basically the spyware that they include with their OS, the ability to provide your information to anybody that asks for it, including the government or anybody that they work with or work for. So this is also a more secure system, and I think that's on here somewhere, but it is a much more secure system. But anyway, we'll move on from all of this business. You can go to the Zorin OS website. I'll leave a link in the comment section or below the video, and you can take a look on their website of the tour and everything here. But let's just dive right into the review. The only thing that I've changed about this since I got it was the Chrome browser was not installed by default. I installed that, and I changed the wallpaper. And you know what? Just for the sake of keeping it as vanilla as possible, I'll put the wallpaper back to what it was, just for the sake of this video. Let's start over here. In the lower right hand corner, we have the power button, which gives you the ability to access the About This computer, and then it'll give you the info here, and then below that it gives you Zorin OS Help, which I believe takes you to the Zorin website. Yep, takes you to the wiki page, and you can go through all of this. Now this is actually really well organized. I've not played with this very much, but I really do like this. This is very, very nice in this section here. Let's see what else we got. You have the ability to lock your computer. We have the user here, the guest session, and then the ability to log out, suspend, restart, and shut down. And then also, I really like that they included this, the system settings button there. Not all distros, the Ubuntu-based ones typically do, but not all of them include a system settings in this menu, and I really do like having it there, because sometimes it's a little confusing. You have to go here, and then, oh, well, there's a system settings button there, but you can almost always count on one being here, and it's really nice to to know for sure where one is. Let's take a look at what is to the left of that. We've got the digital clock and calendar, and that is just a generic, pretty generic calendar app. I think, yep, that's all you can do is just do that. Add events through that app itself. The sound settings, it's very nice to not only have a volume slider here, but also the rhythm box controls here and the sound settings all right there without having to go into your settings, your system settings, and navigate to it. It's really nice to have that there. To the left of that, it looks, I believe, to be Gear Email. It'll notify me when I have emails, and then it'll pop up in a little notification up here, very Ubuntu style. To the left of that is my connectivity. It tells me about my internet. This is my screen recorder here, and then of course you can pick your language there. Moving on to what comes, I believe these three icons are the only ones that are stuck and attached to this menu bar by default. I added the terminal because I use the terminal a lot, and I added Chrome using a tool that comes with it that I will show off here in a moment. Let's take a look at the accessories. All of these are very typical of an Ubuntu-based Linux distro, especially one that is GNOME-based. Besides VirtualBox, which I added to this so that I could actually show off different distros in future reviews. This one, I just decided to install Zorin OS and use that for a while, so I didn't need to throw it into VirtualBox. Underneath that, in games, you come with the typical game suite that shows up in most GNOME-based graphics. We have Document Viewer, GIMP, Image Viewer, LibreOffice Draw, Photos, and Simple Scan, all good tools. Especially like that they include GIMP out of the box, because a lot of them don't anymore. And it's a tool that I've found myself needing to install more frequently than I would like to, especially since it's such a big program. I like that they include that by default. Internet options, desktop sharing, Empathy, instant messaging. This is a good IM program here. Firefox comes with it by default. Gear Email comes by default. Chrome does not. Ramina Remote Desktop, that comes by default. And this is the tool that I was saying earlier that I used to change my web browser. You can select this. It'll ask for your password. And here we have the ability to uninstall and install various web browsers. Firefox was installed by default, Chrome was not, so I just clicked the little install button and you just type in your password and it goes. Midori is a lightweight browser. I really like that. It's most famous right now for shipping with Elementary OS because it's very Safari-esque, and Elementary is very much trying to sort of take a page out of Mac's book, Apple's book, when it comes to their design philosophy. And then this web tool, I believe, is just the standard web browser that ships with Ubuntu, and it's just like, it's a web browser that it's like stock to Ubuntu. I don't know, I think it's based on the mobile web browser that they have for their mobile platform. I'm not sure. But anyway, that is that tool there. We'll move down to Office. It comes with the full LibreOffice suite, which is really nice to see, especially since different OSs that people have been, or not OSs, but distros that people have been going to most recently and more popular, Elementary OS. People are, a lot of them, going to that, and that does not ship with the LibreOffice suite, so it's really nice to see that in Zorin OS. Below that, sound and video. Audacity did not come with the OS. I had to use that to edit some video and some audio on this earlier. So this does not ship with the Zorin OS Core Edition. Bracero does. Cheese Webcam does. Kazam is my screen recorder, so this does not come with it. Kden Live does not come with it. And the rest of them do ship right with it, which is nice to see. OpenShot, because OpenShot is an excellent excellent basic video editor, and I'm really glad to see that included here. I would have liked to see Kdenlive included too, because these two together are an unstoppable force when it comes to video editing, and but I am glad that OpenShot is included. We'll move down to system tools, all your typical system tools. There are two things on here that are not typical, and so I'm glad to see that these are here. I will show you the look changer is very cool. Right now we're in the Windows 7, obviously the Windows 7 theme base thing here. But check out what happens when I click Windows XP. Changes everything. This is a little too big to be Windows XP, but you get the idea. The impressive part is what happens to the Zorin menu. This is almost identical to the Windows XP menu. I really like what I'm seeing here. This part's not quite where it should be for Windows XP, but to be fair, I don't think there's much better you can do with a Linux menu here, unless you were specifically designing it around Windows XP, which they did not. They specifically designed it around Windows 7. But if you're used to Windows XP, this is going to feel right at home. Everything's very Windows XP-ish and very XP looking, and so I appreciate that they include that, especially for people who are not, super tech savvy. And then GNOME 2, people who like the classic GNOME 2 look, this is a pretty nice one actually. If I didn't enjoy the Windows 7 setup as much as I did, or as much as I do rather, I would probably use this because it's almost identical to how the GNOME setup used to be back in the day, and you can obviously go in here and switch your boxes and do all this business. So I appreciate that GNOME 2 is there. If you get the Ultimate Edition, actually, you will get a Mac one, you will get a Windows 2000 one, and you will get a Unity one that makes it look like Ubuntu. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to just go back to Windows 7 because it's the one that I like to use. And then I will go back in here. Check out Wine. Wine comes pre-installed on here, and I really appreciate that. This is a lot to do with the fact that they are shooting very heavily for ease of use for Windows users. So in theory, if you have an exe file, you can just double click it and it'll work based on how this is supposed to be configured. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they claim. And then the Play on Linux, I really appreciate seeing that in here too, because that makes it super easy to install Windows-based programs. I mean, you can see here, it'll take a little while to load in here. And I'll just show this off once this is finished loading in. Alright, and these are all, as you can see, these are all games that are, most of them are only available for Windows. And so if you have the disc for these, a lot of them, you can insert the disc and then tell it which game you're trying to play, and it will go into the disc and it will install it in Play on Linux, and you can play all of these games. Assuming that you've bought a copy, you can play all of them on Linux through Wine, which I've heard actually works quite well for a lot of this stuff. So it's really nice to see that that's included there. Let's close in. Yep. Okay, let's check the Software Center. These two are applications, not submenus. The Software Center is very typical. It's just your standard Ubuntu Software Center with some retheming, and I do appreciate the retheming because everything is really pretty in this distro. I mean, it is very evident that they put forth a lot of effort to make sure that this is comfortable and not ugly for people, and they really do want you to have a good experience with it. So I'm glad that they put forth that effort. But other than that, it's exactly what the Ubuntu Software Center is. And then Places gives you access to all of your locations. Beyond the extra tools that they include with the Core Edition, like the web browser thing and the look changer and theme changer, there isn't a whole lot different. And in terms of actual internal system use between this and Ubuntu. The last item that I would like to show off that Zorin totes in their repertoire here is the Zorin theme changer. Now this is actually, I find this really, really cool. What we can do is, I mean, as you can see, when I pull up an application, you see this blue glow here that runs around the border. You can change that, the highlights. Let's go to green. I think that looks really cool. What we can do here too is we've got a light background. How we see the white background. Change it to dark. And it goes to a dark green theme. Now you can go in here, change your wallpaper. Find one with a little green in it. Looks like there's a little green in this one. Check that out. I think that's pretty nifty looking. Pull out Planet Earth. Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. And you can get, obviously, you know, wallpapers off the internet and customize it even more. But I just think it's cool that you have the ability to change these. You did not used to have that, and I really do appreciate that they include that. They have green, they have orange, everything turns orange, and they have red, everything turns red. My personal favorite is still the blue. Blue dark is most of the time my favorite, and I'll use the blue dark theme, especially when I'm on my computer for a while and it's going to strain my eyes to look at the white. But then you can also change dark to black, and everything goes even darker. And this is good, especially for people who need high contrast levels. It looks pretty good. But personally, blue dark is my favorite. It's not black, but it's, you know, just dark enough to not strain your eyes. But to go back to as far vanilla as we can, I'll set this to blue, set this to light, and we'll change the wallpaper back to this. Alright, so other than that, everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. It's very, very good for people who would enjoy using a Windows system. I appreciate that they include this stuff here. I appreciate that they include my profile picture here. This is cool because I used to have this be customizable for a while. Your access to all of your locations, everything else here is it's identical to Windows 7, and I really appreciate that they put forth all that effort. This distribution, finally, I believe is based on the long-term support. No, that's Zorin OS 9.1. Zorin OS 10 is based on Ubuntu 15.04, which is a good base. I mean, 15.04 was one of the quicker, snappier releases of Ubuntu, and I liked that one quite a bit. This particular release is only supported for 9 months after April. So that's a little bittersweet. Not necessarily a great cycle period, in my opinion, but that's what they went with, and you know, people use the newest and the latest and the greatest. Another change that they made is the icon set here. They used to use what I believe was their own icon set, and they switched to Elementary's icon set, which is very pretty. I mean, I really do enjoy looking at it and using it. It's a very, it meshes well with their theme and their scheme that they use with the flat and the white and the light and the bright. And I do appreciate that Zorin just gets more modern every single time that they release a new one. It gets more and more modern, and I just believe wholeheartedly that they pull it off well. I think they've been pulling it off since like Zorin OS 5. So I appreciate that they're still going. I appreciate what they do, trying to bridge the gap between the average user and the Linux power user. Because you know what, the more people that we have using Linux, the better. I believe someday that all people will be using a Linux distribution of some kind. when Apple and Microsoft go the way of the dodo. So, anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed learning about the OS and enjoyed listening to me talk, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video wherever you can. Be sure to check back frequently for videos. I know I don't post all that frequently, but you never know. I might start kicking the number up here pretty quick. One thing that I am doing more frequently is I am on SoundCloud. If you search me, Vintalorian, on SoundCloud, you should be able to see my username there, and I just post little opinions of mine, listening to me talk, and it's basically a radio podcast. So if you want to tune into that, I'd really appreciate it. I enjoy doing those a lot, probably because I enjoy listening to myself talk. But anyway, thanks for stopping in, and I will catch you in the next video.